things. And we will get back to that. Translations, very obvious, not maybe perfect with the Finnish, good, not perfect. Social listening, another kind of application for using this analytical feature of generative AI, and since it's very good in understanding the language, so of course you can also use it in your support in a chat or moderating the content. But just a kind of a generic background that what is the scope we are now talking. And of course, these are kind of individual application areas or kind of point solutions, if you wish, and to get this in a real life to support your process or service or daily work, you of course need the things around it. You need the tools to collect the data, share the data with the generative AI. Maybe for the sake of the transparency, you need to store it, and whatever has been generated, that's something you want to reuse in real tools, not just in the through the clipboard. All right, we have next kind of example service we called Social Media Insight, and this is a little bit simplification of the process. So here, as a kind of preparation, we have given the platform, we call them benchmark companies or practically your competitors and your own organization. And what the tool has done, it has collected already all the public information, practically posts plus the engagement figures covering all these benchmark companies. So as a social media expert, you can ask them from the OpenAI in this case to little bit play around with the context. In this case, the kind of given data set from LinkedIn, and these are the examples how we can utilize it. So as an expert, you wanna have a summary of the most performing, most engaging, most liked posts, and Gen AI makes the summary for you. Of course, it can do different kind of classification. I'll categorize them, means that it can be put them on a predefined categories or based on the content, say for simplicity's sake, HR related posts, and then it looks up HR related post and looks up them based on the engagement, how much there has been likes, shares, and others, and then it handpicks top 10 for you. And yeah, then you are provided as a kind of summary. Hey, this is what has been happening on these different categories, and you can fiddle with the ideas, and if there's something resonating for your kind of thoughts or ideas, so then of course you can in a way reuse the talking points or topics or keywords and give them back for the Gen AI for proposals. Hey, could you help me to to generate some posts, say 3 different on these and these. And that's something we already have tested in the ChatGPT, and this is exactly the same large language model which is providing you the results. And then you can of course apply it to be more practical and support you in a kind of next step in the process, so to speak. Just an example with a handful of examples about the generative AI use. Then maybe a little bit about the concept of context. So more like we all know that the LLMs, at least the one which came through the 3.5 model, it has been learning all the stuff in the internet and other content as well. And now the language model has been built based on that. But in addition to that, we can moderate or curate the dialogue with the model, and this is kind of a simplification, but I have 3 samples here. Predefined prompts is something you see in many tools like in ours, where you can use the kind of earlier ideas, like I had in the example that, hey, give me a summary of top 10 performing posts in a certain category. That could be a predefined prompt. Then a little bit more generic, you have different options, often tone of voice, length of the kind of text you want to as an input. So generic options, and then maybe the biggest value added thing is the context. And in the previous example, the context was LinkedIn posts from a past 12 months for 6 handpicked companies. So all the dialogue you have with the language model, then you can refer to this context. And that's of course makes it way more powerful. The context can be of course anything. It can be a brand book or product information or briefings or anything you want to kind of LLM to refer to when you are having a dialogue. So that's one enhancement on generative AI. All organizations will sooner or later start benefiting. Then going kind of further into the topic, so thinking of the kind of companies, the enterprises, and then it's a little bit different than individuals having a chat with the ChatGPT. There are other considerations and other options on the table. So the first one is what we just discussed, the context. So you can build your own data storage is maybe a little bit strong word, but data set, and I think thinking of a social media context, so the post or other content from a social media is a good. Then of course the brand book, tone of voice type of thing, certain vocabulary, keywords you want to benefit maybe in your kind of thought leadership agenda. So that's of course something you can build and use in a dialogue. Then we had this some examples, prompting options and predefined options already already covered. So that's main thing is, of course, to speed up the dialogues, that you don't need to explain that much for the model, but it's kind of given and streamlining the work, and hopefully increasing the quality as well. Then the individuals, they of course use the browser sessions with the language model, but like our platform, it's integrated with the Microsoft powered OpenAI through the API, and of course the API usage gives you a little bit additional features. Of course, better chances to use the context, better chances to give some options, thinking of the confidentiality, security things, and of course, once this dialogue is through the tool and companies are subscribers, so of course then it's no longer kind of individual based. So then it's a kind of team effort, and it's easier to share the dialogue, it's easier to share the results, it's easier to share the context with your team. So it's kind of enabling a kind of a team-centric way of working. And I think the others, they are pretty obvious and covered at some point already, but definitely the context, the dialogue, it might be a long dialogue with the language model, and whatever analysis it provides, narratives for the reporting, content ideas, the content itself, it can be stored, and it can be reused, it can be easier shared, and it can be easier analyzed along the way. And of course, it supports one of the pillars in the generative AI kind of work, so that you have the transparency, thinking of, because of course the language models are not 100% trustworthy. There needs to be a human in the loop, and whatever happens, so then we know that what has happened and who has done and what. So yeah, definitely as a business owner or director, I would be interested of checking these boxes when more and more generative AI is going to be part of your daily work. Again, moving on a little bit more kind of generic topic. So as we know, the practices and the legislations, they are always a kind of different sync. I think there's a lot of analogy in the GDPR stuff. There was a long time discussion that what is it you can do in a marketing spectrum with the people's data, and eventually there was EU level legislation, and eventually it was coming into force, and eventually all the companies more or less applied these rules and regulations when it comes to people's data. So for me, this is exactly the similar, maybe a little bit more challenging exercise. In EU, there is this AI Act under works. Probably takes 2 years to get the first set of legislation in place. In the US, there is this fair use doctrine, which practically says that currently you can use content under the copyright in some extent, and that's currently applied here. But thinking of the copyright, even though it's a little bit gray area today, some practicalities is that the copyrights, they belong to a person, and of course it's a complex world. There might be lots of people with the copyright when it comes to some set of content. Then another consideration is the tools organizations are using. We don't provide, just as an example, Inline do not provide any tools to practically create content such as a Midjourney or Copy.ai. We rather provide companies the means to use the tools, and we are more focused on the workflow and kind of enterprise, fulfilling the enterprise requirements, collaboration. I would say the kind of moving parts around these models. But if you are a tool provider, then of course you can define that how does the copyright go when you are using the tool, and that's definitely the terms and conditions are something to look into. Who owns the generated stuff? And maybe on this topic, the most interesting bullet is this the current understanding in the market, even though there are big cases in the US going that who has actually the copyright, but the current thinking is that if the doer or the expert who creates the content, if it not just a simple content creation where you ask something from the ChatGPT and then you copy paste the results, then generally thinking is that then the copyright is not yours. But if there's some maybe a little bit advanced thinking behind it, if there is a multi-step process and you curate or modify the results, so then you should also be the owner of the copyright, because then you've been using these tools as an aid for generating the ideas or analyzing the results or even generating some of the content. And then Microsoft, as a big player in this field, they have came up with these 6 pillars of how to create responsible AI systems and solutions. So that's a kind of framework for the tool providers and service providers in the field, that what are the kind of considerations or risks maybe you need to focus on when you are building these. But this is kind of a bigger question, and from my side, I don't feel that it's there's too big risks at the moment, thinking of both the tool providers or the users, because practically the work people are doing with the Gen AI tool, they are typically multi-process and there's a human in the loop. And for me, it's more like a kind of Google on steroids. So instead of looking up things, now you can even ask things, and it's just one more advanced tool. But yeah, we are running out of time. But generally speaking, maybe one more thought to end the presentation is that for me, this generative AI is a super tool. Currently, we know the organizations are not very good at benefiting that, and it's a little bit complex and always related to kind of a bigger process. So you have these multiple point solutions where you can use the Gen AI instead of the kind of big one silver bullet, which is fixing it all. But as shown in the example where we used Gen AI in 4 or 5 tasks, gives you the idea, and that's why I think the adaptation of Gen AI will take time, because it needs to be somehow baked in our daily work and processes. Yeah, now it's time for any questions or comments or feedback, ideas, anything you have on your mind. It says that someone is typing, so let's see if we get something. Okay, thank you for the positive feedback. But if my presentation was so kind of complete, no questions and comment, I thank you for taking your time, and hopefully this was somewhat beneficial while thinking that, hey, how we can benefit of this Gen AI, and of course, commercial break here, that if you are interested to understand our application, we are happy to give you, say, 20 minutes demo, and then you are probably a little bit more wiser that what there is in the available on the market right now. Thank you.